6 Minutes Season 5. The Season of Unknowingness. The final chapter of the 6 Minute sequel.
There are kids in this world who are different. Special.
One of them found us.
And became family.
But her time ran out. And now, that girl is missing.
In this episode, I'll be breaking down the latest episode, 6 Minutes Season 5, piece by piece. Hey, Review Pop listeners, it's Cyrus and Mueller. We're here today talking about episode 15 of 6 Minutes Season 5. And, it's crazy, we're already a quarter of the way into the season, and, I think it's really great just having all of this high stakes, and Casey and Cyrus, and Brynleigh and Cyrus, and, I have to say I love James in this episode. I think he's really himself, and we get to see that other side of James, that very quirky side of James, and Monica and James is great, and I love their dynamic, and I also love, Cyrus and Brynleigh here, and just how they seem like they're really getting to know each other again, which is really, really fantastic. But yeah, without further ado, let's dive straight into this one.
No,
I'll see what Birdie says. Bird!
She's at Cora and Dora's.
What? She's trick-or-treating in their neighborhood and not ours? The nerve. I didn't even get to see her costume.
She made a very cute mermaid. Although, can we really consider it a costume? All things considered?
Gosh, I have to say I love the Halloween theme, and just, like I said in the intro, just James really being himself on another level, I thought was really great, and, him and Monica, and just, how they reflect off of each other. I think it's really great. And I also love the mention of Cora and Dora, because as we know, David Kreisman had mentioned that there will be a potential love interest for Cora and Dora later in the season, which is really exciting. I also love just, Birdie and the mermaid, and how it ties back to the very first episode, and it's always really great just to have her, being a mermaid, because it's a big part of her identity, for sure.
It's a Halloween tradition.
The one about the people on the base who were exposed to a toxin that made them crave human flesh.
And you can still hear them roaming around the base at night. Yes!
That story was fun when we were little, Dad, but it's kind of played out, no?
Gosh, I love this so much, because in case you don't know, this is mentioning a deleted scene from 6 Minutes, from Season 1, Episode 11. So, this is a very deep cut, and I think a lot of fans wouldn't know this, right? Because it was deleted from the show. It was kind of a scary scene, right? James over the campfire when, the Anders are camping, and, Holiday's supposed to meet up with Badger. I really enjoyed that episode, and, just nice having that callback here, right? I think Dave and the team, they always do a great job with these callbacks, but, I really enjoyed this one, and I instantly caught it. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this mention, this reference, and so if you guys want to hear it, it was played on Rewind a couple years back. But yeah, I love how Cyrus comes in and, kind of says this is played out, but it's awesome.
We saw, a portal.
A portal?
A portal to where?
We don't know, but Cyrus thinks maybe we can get inside WhittierCorp, figure out who was behind that mysterious voice in the interrogation room.
Monica?
I mean, I don't love this plan.
Right, and, I didn't really expect it to be this early into the season, but the fact that Penn's back and Casey and, their whole dynamic, and, now we've got Cyrus and Brynleigh working together to figure out, what's going on at WhittierCorp, and we as listeners kind of don't know what's going on, right? It's a very secretive part of WhittierCorp, and so just this whole discovery process and, potentially what it has to do with the holiday project, I think is super interesting. But I love, just this team up of Cyrus and Brynleigh, and Brynleigh covering for Cyrus, not wanting the parents to figure out what's going on. But yeah, I love the portal, and I love how, the Anders family always tries to work together. And I also love this idea of this WhittierCorp party, right? It seems very fitting, just to have WhittierCorp a part of this, right?
Brynleigh, you are a genius.
I'm sorry? I couldn't hear you through this wig.
Figure of speech.
Too late, you admitted it. I'm a genius.
You're never gonna let me live this down now, are you?
Look, when you're right, you're right. I wonder what's behind all these doors.
I don't know.
Earlier in the episode, I loved the mention of the demon hunters. I thought that was awesome. Overall, this is really, really interesting, having them get used to each other once again and being, friendly in a sort of way. And this very much is Brynleigh's personality here, just how she kind of interacts with Cyrus, and I think it's really awesome. But it'll be interesting to see how they get closer together in the season, and how Casey is a part of that, right? If she's gonna get together with Penn, or just the whole love triangle. We've seen that from the start of the season, and it'll be interesting to see if that goes anywhere. But for sure, just this whole love type thing, I think it's really interesting, and it's starting to show up in a very subtle sort of way.
Insanity. I got lost.
And ended up in a back room at WhittierCorp?
I was, hired to work the party. I'm manning the static electricity station. Actually, I'd better get back to it. Buzz, buzz.
This very much so reminds me of in Season 1 when Cyrus discovers who Casey is. It feels very reminiscent of that, just even the background noise. I think it's super interesting, but they don't really discover Casey's true identity here, but in the sense that, it's a very close call, and they're getting very suspicious of Casey. I also think, the use of Brynsanity is interesting in the sense that, Casey is kind of speaking down on Brynleigh, right? They're kind of arch nemesises. It's really interesting how that kind of transferred over to 2025, because, we know they're friendly for a while there in Season 2, but I think it's interesting having them kind of oppose each other, right? Whether that has to do with the love triangle. But overall, this is super interesting. I also love how the music plays into it all. But yeah, for sure, really, really well done.
I'm going to go check it out.
Be careful. Stay in touch.
Oh, sorry.
Excuse me.
It's you.
I gotta go.
Wait, I need to talk to you.
Sorry about this.
Hey, what are you doing? Let go of my arm. Oh!
You'll be okay in a few minutes.
Right, so kind of what I was talking about earlier of like, will they discover who Casey is, and, will this interfere now with Monica's memory of it all and her ability to recount it, what happened? I think it's all super interesting, and I'm excited to see everything that goes down. I mean, it's super awesome, and having Casey, shock her here, that use of her power in an interesting sort of way. And I don't think, like we heard before, she doesn't want to hurt the Anders, and she doesn't have ill will towards the Anders, right? She cares for Cyrus, and we've already seen that, and I think it's really interesting.
We can't! There's another wall of ice forming behind us! Ah! Oh my gosh! Cyrus?
Trapped.
Who is that?
Gosh, I love that just comical laugh from Magnus and in the background, and the use of his powers is really interesting. Is he gonna trap them there? Is, his cold powers gonna, I don't know, what's that gonna do to, Brynleigh and Cyrus? Thank you all so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a 5-star review. Until next time, this is Landon saying peace, love, and time travel.